Hello, and welcome back to my channel here. This kind of like an addendum to the other video that I made about how to avoid scams and online dating, and this one's going to focus on the ones that try a sexual approach to try and scam you. And how this usually goes is that you'll talk to somebody and they'll either immediately say that they're looking for a hookup. Um, Sometimes they won't, but sometimes when they say they're looking for a hookup, they'll immediately just ask you for it'll usually be local, but sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll know that, oh well, since you're so far away, I can only offer you an online show or whatever, cyber sex or something like that. So um they'll ask you for they'll ask you for money at that point right away, and that's kind of I mean that's and I haven't got any. I never went far with those types of people because that's not what I'm looking for in a relationship. So, or I'm not looking for that online or anything like that. So I never got far with those people. At that point, I would block them and end the conversation. But um, so I don't really know if you really get a show or not. Probably not. They probably just take your money at that point and you don't see anything. They just block you or ignore you or whatever. But that's one way that it goes. The other way that it goes is that they're on there under false pretenses, perhaps, and they don't say that they're looking just for a hookup, or they're not looking for to hook up or something like that. Oh yeah, I want to mention one other thing about the looking the hookups and stuff like that. Um, Oftentimes they'll give you. I've noticed that they'll give you a list of services that they're willing to perform and things like that, and say that my services aren't free. You have to pay for them and things like that, and that's another red flag to avoid there because obviously that's prostitution, and prostitution is illegal in most of the United States except for in Las Vegas. So, yeah, you don't want to open that can of worms either. You don't want to invite any potential legal action, whether it's fake or not. So, yeah, I would definitely avoid those types of things because it's illegal, and prostitution is illegal in most places in the United States. So, yeah, don't fall into that trap. So, also, they may want to actually legitimately talk to you for a while, maybe even get to know you a little bit before they like to send you a picture of themselves, scammers usually at first, and you'll send a picture of them back, and that's fine, and then maybe you'll talk for a little while longer, and then what they'll do is they'll send you a picture either of them in underwear or them totally naked, and whether you ask for it or not. And oftentimes you didn't ask for it at that point yet. And this has happened to me before. They've sent me the picture before, and I said I didn't ask for that picture, and they'll be like, "Oh, I know you didn't ask for it, but I felt like sending it to you anyway because I really like you, and I feel like, oh." This is where the thing that doesn't, people don't talk like that in America. They'll say you're making me feel a certain way about you. What? Who talks like that? Nobody talks like that in the United States. It's like I really like you, or you're making me the H word or something like that. They're not going to say I feel a certain way about you. You're making me feel a certain way about you. That's not the way people talk in the United States anyway. So, um, at that point, and this is where they usually lose me because I don't feel comfortable with that kind of thing. So, but this is what I've heard happens, and And unfortunately, it can be really scary for somebody who doesn't know what about the legality of things and stuff like that. But what happens is that they'll continue to talk to you and they'll ask you for more personal details about your life, like where you live and things like that. And at this point, oh yeah, I forgot to mention something very important. Is they'll usually ask you to go to a third party app like Google Chat or WhatsApp or something like that. For this type of scam, where it's more of the sexual type, it'll usually be on WhatsApp because they'll claim it's a more private environment to chat with you at, and you can have privacy there. But really, what they're doing for is they're looking to try and get your phone number somehow, and they'll use that against you, and I'll show you how they'll use it against, and I'll tell you how they use it against you in a moment here. But so you'll be chatting along with these people, and they'll ask you for more personal information. They'll ask you where you work, what do you do for a living, do you have any kids? Do you have any kids? Potentially even where you go to church, if you go to church or if you worship or something like that. They'll ask you that information. Other personal details, how old you are, what your full name, even what your full name is sometimes. Because what they're doing is they don't really care about you. They're doing research behind the scenes to find out how much information they can gather on you to scam you. And so if you're on WhatsApp talking to them, they have your phone number. So what they'll do is they'll do a reverse lookup of your phone number, and they can potentially get a lot of information on a person if they have access to a reverse lookup account that they've paid for, and they could get your address. They could get your address, your full. They could get your address, your full name, who you live with, where you work. A lot of that kind of information. And if you tell them stuff, they obviously got it that much more easy. They're going to look for any social media accounts that you might have. They're going to look for your Facebook, your Instagram, anything like that, your Twitter. And they're also going to use that against you too here, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But so they're gathering information on you. They're gonna look at your Facebook and your Instagram and see what kind of information they can garner from there. They're gonna, if your page is not locked down, like you hide all your information to those who are not your friends and stuff like that. That's the best way to go to protect your privacy anyway, for people who are looking for information on people, is to make sure that you keep all that stuff private, unless you're friends with that person already and things like that. Which you shouldn't just allow somebody to be your friend on Facebook or on Instagram or anything like that right off the bat without getting to know them and spending some time with them in real life and stuff like that. So I would never add anybody to Facebook who I just met, or who I just started talking to online. I haven't even met in person or anything yet. So, yeah, they can get a lot of information off of Facebook or Instagram or something like that. Well, Facebook mostly. They can get your friends. They can see who your friends and family are. If you don't have that kind of information private, they can see where you've worked and where you work and have worked, your age, your date of birth, your phone number, your email address. If you don't have any of that stuff private, make it private. So anyway, so what they'll do is at this point then, they would send you one of the pictures or two of the pictures, and they'll ask you to send them a similar picture of yourself, nude or whatever, and if you send them that picture, then they got you. They have got you. They'll ask you. They'll ask you to do potentially to do as much as you can. As much as you're willing to do with them. It pictures or videos. Unfortunately, showing your full body and things like that. And if you do send it to them, they got you. They've got you. At that point, they've got all the information they need to scam you. And what they do at this point is they do a blackmail scam. What they'll do is they will one of the scenarios that I've heard about is they will tell you is they will take screenshots of everything that you sent them, and they'll send the screenshots back to you, and they'll say, look, I'm from so-and-so agency, or, I'm going to expose you as a pervert or something like that on all social media platforms. And I'm going to send you all this stuff that you sent me, all these lewd videos that you sent me or pictures or whatever. And I'm going to expose you on social media as a pervert. I'm going to post all the information to all your family and friends, and I'm going to send it to your church and your work, and you're going to be ruined. Unless you listen to me and follow my rules. Don't tell anyone about this. Don't tell anyone about this. If you do, I will automatically post it, and you'll be ruined. Or they'll tell you, listen, follow my instructions very carefully, and then they'll ask you for money. They'll tell you need to empty your bank account or whatever, and send me all your money. And if you don't, then I'm gonna ruin you. They of course won't ruin you, but for those people that don't know, it'll scare the hell out of them. And if they're not familiar with how legal things happen and stuff like that, then you could potentially do it and lose all your money for no reason at all. And that's something that I would definitely like people to avoid, because it's not fair to you. You shouldn't be doing anything like that anyway, in my opinion, online with somebody that you just talked to. But I know that some people are lonely, and some people, that's what they're looking for. And as unfortunate as it is, it makes you that much more vulnerable to being scammed in this way. Another way is, unfortunately, is if the woman is younger than you, significantly younger or somewhat younger than you, and they post an age and they look younger than that age. What they'll do is that they will they'll have their parents text you or attempt to call you and say that this person is underage. You've been chatting and sending nude pictures back and forth with an underage person. Whether or not they claim to be underage or not, you can say, well, this person said they were so-and-so age, and they lied to me and things like this. And it doesn't matter to the scammer. They'll say, too bad, so sad. If you don't answer your phone and talk to me, or if you don't respond to my text messages and do exactly what I say, I'm going to call the authorities on you and have you arrested for engaging with a underage, even if you had any intention of meeting the person or not. If you had no intention of meeting the person, you never made plans, it doesn't matter. They'll still try and take your money. They'll try and scare the hell out of you to try and take your money. They'll be like, this. Now my daughter or whatever is thinking about killing herself because you rejected her, or this and that, and she was underage, and it's illegal to do this, and I'm going to call the sheriff on you and have you arrested and thrown in jail and press charges on you and all this stuff. And yeah, so at that point, if you get to that point, which you shouldn't be, just end the conversation with the person, block them, and things like that. And nothing's really going to, if anything really does happen, then they're taking things pretty seriously, but nothing's probably going to happen with that. But I wouldn't let it get to that point anyway, because that can scare the hell out of anyone, even if you're not aware of, legalities and things like that. Even if you know you're not in the wrong, for what you know, if you haven't done anything wrong. It can still scare the hell out of anybody to be in that kind of situation and think, oh my gosh, is he right? Could I go to jail for this? You just don't want to get yourself in that position at all. And that's why I'm saying that you need to look for the red flags that I mentioned earlier, so you won't get to these points and have to deal with this kind of stuff and have emotional distress and, you know, physical distress and worry and stuff like that. And it's just so much easier to just stop it at an early stage when you recognize the red flags, and then going through all the way with it and getting into this thing. I mean, if you're somebody who needs to see erotic imagery and stuff like that, you're better off just going to, like, there's plenty of free porn websites out there, unfortunately, than trying to go through this avenue. You're better off. And as far as trying to talk to somebody for relationship purposes, you're better off just moving on and trying to find somebody who's real than trying to talk to somebody who's who has these red flags and things like that. You're better off just keep trying. I mean, I can guarantee you there's somebody out there for you. I can guarantee you it. Even though you might try for a long time, if that's what you want, there's somebody who's going to give you what you want in real life. There's somebody who's going to be happy to be there's somebody who has what you want out there in real life. And vice versa. So it's not worth it to waste your time and potentially get scammed, or, you know, suffer emotional trauma or physical trauma or anything like this, just to talk to somebody who's not even real, who doesn't even care about you. So that's just my advice on it, but you can take it as you are. And I told you how to avoid these types of things. It's really easy. The signs are really easy. Like I said, they're just trying to turn a quick buck. They're not concerned about you at all. They're just trying to make a quick buck. They'll be happy to move on from you after they're done. Very happy, and to never talk to you again, and they will. And so it's not worth your effort to invest in somebody who's not invested in you, and who will never be invested in you. It's about scams for them. It's about stealing money. Unfortunately, stealing money. You know, you've probably worked hard for your money, and it's not worth it to give it away to somebody who's not real, just in the hopes that they might be. Just in the hopes that they might be real. So I thank you for. That's all I got to say. Both these videos were like 20 minutes long, a lot longer than I thought they'd be. Actually, I think the other one was 30. But I hope that you got something out of it and actually sticked around to listen. Maybe I'll make better ones at some point and add pictures and things like that. But I just felt I wanted to get this information out there to people. Because yeah, in my life for a while, I was desperate to meet someone, and I was trying too hard, and things like that. And even though I wasn't prone to scams, you know, perhaps I might have invested more time than I should have in some of these scammers and things like that. Just out of being bored and lonely at some point in my life. Not anymore, but at a point in my life, yeah. But not anymore. So I mean, it helped me know what to look for too. So if it helps me help you, then it's good as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.